Today's video, we're going to be breaking down how to stop U-trips in Madden 25. This is a formation that gives a lot of people issues. And so I wanted to break down a couple of my favorite ways to defend this formation, some of my favorite coverage shells, some of the coverage shells that I've seen other people use I think are really effective. And it's going to be out of dollar. Now, the reason I'm doing these videos out of dollar is because dollar generally there's always a good effective way to run dollar. So I want these videos, my goal is to make them as timeless as possible so that you can apply them in any year of the game. And so we're going to be doing so out of the dollar defense, or primarily focusing on coverage. So we're not going to do any real blitzes for this. If you guys want my full dollar ebook completely updated with the best blitzes in the game, it is in our school community, school.com/Cody Ballard. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. That's where you get access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks. And you can apply these principles to formations similar to U-trips, such as wide trips week, wing trio, wing trips in college football 25. These are all cross applicable. All right, so for this defense, what I like to do is in my coaching adjustments, I like to turn auto flip off, auto line on base, option defense on conservative. I don't normally like to set zone drops in general, but you can put your hook curls on 5 if they're killing you underneath. But in general, we're going to leave these on default. In our audibles, we have cover 6 Willie, DB Fire 2, Edge Blitz 3, and cover 4 Palms. This is just going to give us the best versatility within our coverage. We have a cover 6, a cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. We have match shells in here, all that stuff that you need. And then we're going to be coming out in double safety go flipped. Now, when we come out in double safety go flipped, the first coverage shell that I like to run, really the most simple one, is Edge Blitz 3. And so the reason we're going to use Edge Blitz 3 here is we're going to have a cover 3 shell, but we're going to actually slightly tweak this cover 3 shell. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this slot corner on the left side, and we are going to put him on a hard flat. We're going to take this safety that is over here, and we're going to put him on a middle third. This is going to really help defend kind of the seam streaks over here to the right side, and then or on the left side. And then on the right side, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and shade underneath at this point, and then we're just going to take the safety and man him up to the tight end. Now, the reason we're going to man this safety up to the tight end is because we're going to basically try to take away the tight end seam streak. Now, the last step in this adjustment that I typically like to do is shade over top and then re-hard flat on the left side. So you could also purple on the left side as well. That'll do a really good job against the running back wheels and stuff, but I like the hard flat generally, and this is kind of what the defense is going to look like. Now, we talk about what is open and what does this actually defend well. One of the main plays that you see a lot of U-trips is this play with this tight end corner. So what you're going to see here is this combination of the man up and the cloud is going to take that away, and it's going to force them to have to check down underneath to their flat route, which at the end of the day, if you're giving up a flat route, that's not the end of the world. So, just kind of not worried about the flat route, honestly. The next thing that we're able to do here is we're also able to put our user in coverage on this post. So I'm going to kind of work to here, and then I can easily just work back over here, and you see that we're able to kind of take away the main components of this quick hike play that is very, very popular within the U-trips formation. We're kind of creating, if you will, a bracket on the tight end, as the tight end is one of the most important players to cover in this offense. This is my base coverage shell. And this is kind of the main one that I like to use against U-trips. It's a simple shell, but it does a really good job at defending the tight end corner routes. The next coverage shell that I like to use is a slight variation of this one. It's going to be set up out of Edge Blitz 3 as well. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shade down, shade over top, and then we're going to hard flat, middle third, man up the tight end, and then we're going to man up ourselves onto this outside guy. Now, the reason we're going to man ourselves up on the outside guy is so that we can switch stick onto probably, in most cases, this middle third. So the reason that this is an effective adjustment is because one of the other things that you will see in a U-Trips offense is you'll see combos like this, for example. This is a really popular combo that people like to do. And so what I like to do is we have this man up on the tight end. So if I see something like this, I'll kind of like switch stick onto the middle third, and that allows me to take the post. And then I have kind of this backside guy manned up if he runs over the middle of the field. So as you see here, that man up will just bite down onto that drag. This is also really good for another play in U-Trips that I personally would love, that I think is one of the better plays in U-Trips, is this tight end whip play, where we have this kind of nice post route here on the left side. You can kind of do all kinds of stuff here on the left, but we have this nice post route to the solo or to the outside trips receiver. And again, what you're going to see here is I'm just going to man this guy up. I love to man up the tight end. And essentially, if you just kind of look at this play, the main thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be switch sticking onto this third and then trying to basically rob the running back. So as you see here, I just switch stick onto the third. And then the cross man is going to do a really good job of defending this outside trips receiver. So as you see here, I kind of recognize, oh, it's tight end whip. I pretty much know that this guy's going to be on this post, right? So I'm going to instantly switch stick onto the middle third, and now I can play this running back route fairly decently. But then look at this cross man up on this player. I think it does a really good job of defending that route. Now, the next shell that we're going to be going over is a little bit more of a kind of a justy coverage that is going to do really good. And I'm going to have a kind of a final shell for you that I really like against U-Trips. Just kind of a base coverage shell that's going to do good against seam streaks, going to do good against underneath passing, and kind of almost give up the intermediate angle. So this next coverage shell is going to be out of cover 6 Willie. And what we're going to do here is we have this quarter on the right-hand side. We have this ability now to man up the tight end, and we're going to man up the slot. So it's kind of a cross man, not even necessarily cross, but more of a man coverage shell. But then on this left side, we're going to go ahead and double flat. So the reason that I like this coverage shell is primarily for situations where they're doing a lot of motioning over, or they're trying to throw things like a corner route to the solo receiver. So this is something that's pretty popular in U-Trips, is just this idea that we're going to motion over. One of the things you see a lot of people do is just this simple corner route here to this left side on the solo receiver, and you're going to see that this cloud is just going to do a really nice job of kind of being in a decent position to be able to defend that. And so that's the whole purpose of that. And then you also have this slot manned up. So another thing that you're going to see from a lot of U-Trips players is the slot could be on a lot of different routes. One of the primary routes that he's on, and I think this formation or this cover shell also does a really good job of this, is this kind of deal here where we're going to go to this play deep slot curl. They're going to streak this outside guy, corner this guy, and the running back could be on an underneath in route or a flat route, but it basically looks like this. Essentially what will happen is this man up with that outside quarter is just going to do a good job of bracketing that, and you're going to force them to check it down to the comeback route, which is really what they don't want to do. They don't want to have to check it down to the comeback route for any means. Another coverage shell that I like, I'm going to get into some more just kind of roll concepts and just different things like that. One of my other coverage shells that I really like against this formation, you can do out of anything, but it is a send 5 coverage shell. So we're going to be sending 5 at the opponent. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to third, we're going to hard flat. And then really importantly here, I really like to have this outside third. But if they're killing you in the seams, which they can do out of U-Trips, then you can leave him in like a half. But the main thing is this cloud flat here on the right side. So if we think about what my user is responsible for, it really is truly responsible for this seam area of the field, looking for tight end seam streaks, looking for slot streaks. But in a case like this play out of U-Trips, you're going to be able to be pretty good, and you're sending 5, so you're just going to kind of use her there and then go back to there, and that plays it pretty well. But just having that cloud flat roll coverage over the top of the U-trips is pretty good. The one thing you'll start to see is sometimes they'll quick snap a play and it might look something like this. This is another good combo out of U-trips. And basically what we're looking to do here is we're looking for this cloud flat to kind of play this outside fade for long enough for this middle third to get over the top of it. And then also we're going to have to user this for just a little bit, and then we can kind of switch stick off and get underneath. So the main thing that this is susceptible to is a seam streak on the right side of the screen, which is the primary thing that you yourself need to user, which also leads me to my next coverage shell that I like against U-trips, which is cover 6 Willie. And the main reason we're calling this is because we already have the cover 4 set up. So we're just going to simply vert hook this guy on the left. We're going to shade underneath, and then we're going to cloud flat this outside player. This is going to do a really good job against those corner route things that I was talking about, but it also is going to do a good job against like the running back wheel. It's going to do a really good job against any kind of seam streak over here to the right side. And so there's just a pretty decent coverage for taking away kind of the seam area of the field and kind of covering some of the things that I think makes U-Trip so special. So this is another one that I really like out of this cover 6 Willie, is just utilizing, you know, this simple quarter half concept. And then you don't have to have your user on a 3-rec. You can hook curl him to get him a little bit more into the seam. If you do choose to switch stick, one of the real, I think, hidden benefits against this formation is occasionally playing like a hard flat type of coverage can help. Another variation of this that I don't think is terrible would be something like this. And the reason why I like this is it just allows me to play a hard flat. The thing you're going to be vulnerable to with this one is the corner route, but you're going to defend the flat a little bit better. So it's just kind of up to you in terms of how you want to actually go about it. This isn't a terrible adjustment, doing 2 quarters. It's going to do a really good job against a seam streak. If they do end up motioning somebody across the field, then you definitely, in my opinion, want to have a half here. But this is a pretty decent little base shell that I like to use for a lot of things that U-trips can do. And you're still able to get pretty decent pressure because you're going to be able to send 4. But in general, these are pretty much my favorite shells against U-trips in this game. Couple other ones would basically just be third, and then we would have to actually end up using over here. This is something that's kind of situational, but this one's not a terrible one either. Basically just flipping what I was saying a minute ago. This is going to do a little better job against the seam streaks, like quarter. I really like quarter, half, like something like this. The problem with this too, though, is the tight end corner is going to be a challenge to guard in this. But, you know, what I would probably do is man this guy up onto the solo receiver. And then, like, let's say I saw that tight end corner. You know, I see something like this. I would just switch stick onto this quarter and I'd be able to take it. So having those quarters that you can kind of switch stick onto in your defense, I think is super relevant and super effective. And then last coverage is just basic shade down cover 4. And the reason I like shaded down cover 4 against U-trips is it's just going to do a decent job. On this left side, feel free to cloud flat if they don't have a guy on a route. This is, I think, a really underrated way to defend this formation. But you can have this quarter out here. I just think when all else fails, you can kind of go to something basic like this. U-trips is a good formation, and situationally, you do need to mix in stuff like this just to kind of keep the lid on things. But in general, this is kind of my strategies for defending U-trips. I want to thank you for watching the video, and if you guys want to check out any of my full offensive or defensive ebooks, they're all available by joining our school community. Our school community is going to be linked in the description below.